All right. I'm live and I wanted to jump in early to work out whatever crazy tech issues that I could be having because it has been a wild ride in that regard. So, listen, if you feel like popping in with me, I sure appreciate your time. Let me start tonight with just a little background on what's been going on. Haven't done a video for a minute, that's for sure. So I'm sure some of you, and some of you know, like some folks have been emailing me and text me and that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. All you inner circle people been following me since the beginning. Got a couple emails, and so here's the short version. I got really, really sick. Right, you guys know what's going around, and finally got caught up in a pretty bad case of it. But I didn't get sick in any normal, like the stereotypical way, like you see on TV or whatever, or you hear about from all these supposed experts, because I didn't get any of that. Um, I got sick, like couldn't eat, couldn't drink, couldn't keep things down. I lost 15 pounds in about 2.5 weeks. So that was, yeah, that was the worst part for me, was the digestive impact on me. Um, but hey, listen, it's all right and it's over. I'll tell you, I had a horrible hospital experience. These people, they act like crackpots. Not real happy about how that shaped up. That was a little weird and a strange experience. And what was weird was they're just trying to hang that label around you, saying that's what you have. And then it was like, well, then we have to move you to this dedicated area, and your significant other can't be with you. So then you're by yourself. Now, at this point, when this was all being discussed, I was really not with it. I didn't have any energy at that point. I wouldn't say, yeah, I'd say I had some sort of form of like brain fog or something. So it was like, this was really, really a scary proposition. Like, I gotta, like, I'm this sick and you're not gonna let me have her. And my wife is like the patron saint, man. She took care of me in a way I can't even, I think I told her thank you again this week. Like, I was such a horrible human to be around in every possible imaginable way. Because I was so miserable and I couldn't explain what was wrong with me. I was having all these different problems, and I'd feel like I'd eat an egg and I'd feel like I've been at a buffet, and then I'd just get sick later. And it was like this crazy thing. And then as time progressed, and we were going to the hospital visit, and she was, in the hospital with me, basically not sleeping for a full day, day and a half in this little chair that she'd probably try to sleep in. I don't know. Horrible experience. So that's what took Pops out of the equation, man. It took me down, got me. And it's funny because the last interview I did was on Watch Your Story, and I think I was actually sick, and it just really hadn't hit me yet. That interview is still not posted. I haven't done any editing yet. Day job stuff requires, a lot, and I got to be a good steward and responsible employee to those folks who are taking care of my family, with paying me, and that's what I did. That's what I'm going to do. So that was kind of out there, kind of a strange, nuanced little way of looking at things. And yeah, so you're caught up in that regard. I want to give you guys a little preview tonight. I got a lot of things to talk about, or at least want to try to get videos up. So we'll stream. If any of you want to pop in and comment as I go along, that's cool. Appreciate it. Haven't really given my thoughts on the Batman. Saw it, and really have some mixed takes on that. I've listened to a few things now. I hadn't really thought about it. I kind of wrote down some notes, like this was my takes right when I first saw it. So I was going to do a video. Excuse me, but I was just so exhausted. I still don't have a lot of energy. I want to talk about some other movies that are out, like 355. The 355 hit Peacock, I believe is what it's on. Anyway, I saw it for free somewhere, and give you kind of a little review or some thoughts on that. There's a ton of other cool stuff out there. The Obi-Wan trailer dropped. I want to talk about the new Scream movie. And then if I have time, I have the energy, man. I got some other stuff. The Laker documentary is out. The Laker docudrama is out, at least one episode. But there's also a Magic vs. Bird documentary. I took that in. I want to give some kudos to South Park, comic books. I don't know. There's tons of stuff to talk about. Maybe you want to help guide the conversation. So you pop in with me and let's see what's up. All right, so let's kick off the Batman, right? I want to talk about the Batman first. Because the Batman is definitely a big deal. He is Warner Brothers has got a lot of success with that, so they're gonna, we'll see. Here's what I hope. I hope that this is like a chapter 1 type situation. Okay, so first off, tons of spoiler warnings. Maybe I can make that go across there so you guys will kind of be warned, because I'm not about to talk about this kind of stuff and just hold back and make 2 videos, 3 videos. I don't know. If you don't want to see it or you want to know, you should be watching videos. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, spoiler warning is out there. Scroll across the bottom. Yeah, that's what I want. So go ahead here. There you go. There you go. There we go. Show. Yeah, there we go. Spoiler warning. Talk about the Batman. Okay, so the Batman is directed by Matt Reeves, stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Zoe Kravitz as the Selina Kyle. She is not Catwoman in this movie yet. There's some allusions to her, but that's not who she is. Paul Dano as, quote, the Riddler. Colin Farrell is a Penguin, or Oz, as they call him, or Az in this. Oz. And then there's other, Carmen Falcone and some others. Anyway, so here's the thing. This is has year 2 Batman, or at least let's call it inexperienced Batman. This movie is significantly more and differently grounded than the Christopher Nolan films, which are kind of widely considered to be the best films of the Batman films. Dark Knight being, the quintessential classic, Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. And I will say they did a great job of presenting a different kind of Gotham. I definitely like Gotham City more than this than any other Batman film. I really have some soft spots for the Tim Burton first film, not the second one. And I could talk about it. I rewatched all of the Batman movies. Well, all of the live action Batman movies except for Batman and Robin. I'm not saying through that again. So it really sets up an inexperienced Batman in a dark, it's raining a lot, corrupt cities, like a lot of New York elements, but not in New York, right? So even the daytime, it still looks, very, I won't say steampunk, but that's sort of like, it's dark, a lot of neon signs and kind of like a punk element to it at times. There's a lot of these. I just liked a lot of that. Bruce is having to ride a motorcycle into town, change into his Batman costume, and he's taking down low-level criminals. The bat signal is like a symbol of fear for the criminals. Like, there's hesitation of like, well, should I go into that dark alley after committing this crime? Because the Batman can be there, right? And then against all of that is the Riddler, who is basically a Zodiac killer with a Riddler name. He's got puzzles and little messages for the Batman. And he's setting up this mission to out the corrupt elements and take care of the corrupt elements of Gotham City. Oz is the Penguin. They don't really call him Oswald Cobblepot much. A couple comments back and forth on him. He's sort of like an underboss, Carmine Falcone, because Turturro is played him. And okay, I do not want to have any of this happen. So how do I? Yeah, I just snooze that. Oh my gosh, we shut everything off. That would be terrible. Some sort of crazy Windows update just popped up on my computer. So Penguin is like an underboss. He's not really the gangster yet. He runs a little club, and that kind of has a storyline that kind of works itself through as well. And then, of course, Zoe Kravitz is basically just like, she's working at the Penguin's Iceberg Lounge. She's worried about her friend that puts her in a cross paths with Batman. She's kind of like a thief. She's kind of like a low-level criminal, but she, has these aspirations to help her friend in this little story that they got going on. So let me break it down. First thing is, the first 50, 60, 70% of the movie is really pretty good. Actually, especially the first half or so. Really, really good. I will say that I am shocked Robert Pattinson is good looking in the Batman suit. Robert Pattinson is never Bruce Wayne. He is, if anything, hey Lisa, I see you watching on Facebook. Thanks for joining me. Talking about the Batman. Robert Pattinson is never Bruce Wayne. He is emo Bruce Wayne. He's basically Batman without the mask and stuff on. He is a disconnected, depressed human struggling with what the Batman's role should be and why things are not getting better, even though he's been doing this for a while. And none of that really worked, except under the premise that he can evolve. Like, so this is like year 2 Batman, right? So I know people don't want a time jump. They don't want these things. And we'll talk about the ending briefly, but I would rather see the next film be like 3 years later. Like, he's really evolved. He's become the, billionaire, playboy, entrepreneur, and those kinds of things. I don't want, this is not Bruce Wayne. That part was terrible. Him meeting Selena Kyle, who's not really, she's like prototype Catwoman, again, can work because she can evolve. The Riddler doesn't work at all. Like, he's Riddler only in name. He's not reminiscent of comic books. He's not reminiscent of TV show, movies, anything. He's Zodiac killer, serial killer. Could have been called something else, but obviously they're going with the name recognition. Batman does a great job. It's like detective work. The editing is kind of terrible at times because it takes, everything is drawn out way too long. Like the walking around, the standing around, all that just takes way too long. At least 20 minutes could have come off this film's run. Like, it was close to 3 hours. At least 20 to 30 minutes could have come out of all this. And that, we're not even talking about the ending part, just 10, 15 minutes of just this slow, methodical nonsense. It adds no real value to that. I didn't think. So Batman actually ends up working with Gordon, and Gordon kind of protects him from getting arrested. But he'll walk into the room where the police are, and the police are like, "What's with the freak being here?" And Gordon's keeping them from dealing with him and arresting him. But it's just, I don't know. I didn't like it after a while. Like, one scene I thought maybe would have worked, but the best approach was what we saw with Dark Knight, where Gordon's like, "Everybody out, give me the room," those kinds of things, or where they make the lights go out and then suddenly he appears with the whole ninja thing. I didn't like any of this whole cop versus Batman stuff. I thought after a while, I mean, I know there's some of this in the comic book and they are trying to go for a little bit of that, but I didn't think any of that worked real well. So the story goes on with the Riddler executing all these corrupt, high-profile characters. The guy running for mayor, the district attorney, all these folks. And then there's this effort to even kill Bruce Wayne because he's outing the family, the Thomas Wayne. Because this is the only major change that I had mixed feelings on. They changed sort of like Bruce's backstory. Like, Martha was ill and had to be institutionalized. And there was a cover-up, and there was a person that was trying to out all of these different things and the connections to Arkham. So Thomas Wayne went to Falcone, the mobster, and the mobster did what the mobsters do. They just killed the guy, and that's not what Thomas Wayne wanted. So Bruce is finding all this out because of the Riddler, and Riddler thinks it's going to like draw them together and be a closer connection. And I didn't find that at all. I think it was like trying to also make it like, is it a different side of the same coin that they're supposed to be alike? And I gotta be honest, the Riddler, other than being called Riddler and the weird costuming that they chose, none of that's really that bad. There's a couple scenes that are terrible. Like, Batman's trying to solve the riddle with the bomb strapped to him, but just messes up and the bomb goes off, but goes off in his face, which was terrible. Batman's a human, so we shouldn't have bombs going off in his face. His cape or something should have gone up, protected him. He's knocked unconscious. Police get him. They don't take off the mask. He's in the police scene. You saw that in one of the trailers where he punches Gordon, and I don't know. So it's dumb because later on, the police don't care that he's around again. The movie has a ton of those kind of contradictions in the third act. Like, once you get to the third act, there's stuff that's happening that contradicts the whole first half of the movie. So the movie is stuck at like a 6 for me, maybe a 6.5 to 7, if I really put a lot of emphasis on the first half. But the last half of this movie becomes a mess because Bruce is in conflict with his family, goes to Alfred about all of this, doesn't ask how Alfred is because Alfred's the one that got blown up because they were trying to kill Bruce Wayne. And Alfred's fine. But there's no like, how you doing? It's like he walks in the room, he's like, you lied to me. And it's like, okay, this is way too dramatic. And then it becomes a story. Riddler just turns himself in. He just goes to the diner. And that was just totally dumb because now the scheme was he has these trucks set around Gotham. He's going to blow them up and flood the city. What his entire motivation, the entire movie was like corruption and these evil, powerful figures that are all representative of the corrupt system. And suddenly he puts everyone in harm's way. Like it didn't make sense that he's making that decision on his own. There's not another big baddie. And the name drop in the film was basically Hush's real name, this reporter from Thomas Wayne. So I don't understand why Hush is not the main villain, even if he doesn't do anything in that last scene. Even if you just see him there with his face covered and Batman can't get to him and he escapes and he's really the one pulling Riddler's strings, it would have just made more sense for there to be another big bad or something else that would have driven Riddler, because that last part doesn't make any sense. So Falcone is really the one who killed his parents because of Thomas Wayne wanting to out him for murdering the reporter and all of that. So there's this twist on the origin story, which isn't horrible. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. So, yeah. Sorry, I see some spam popping up on the YouTube side. If you guys are seeing that, I'm trying to get it to go away. Okay, so the Penguin has the best. I mean, whoever did makeup and stuff did a great job. And all the music and stuff in that first half and all that. You've seen the Penguin chase scene with the car, the Batmobile. And again, the suit and the car are like prototypes, right? So when his suit, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. So when you see the suit, you see a lot of the weapons and the gadgets that he has. Like you can see all of this stuff. It's not all hidden away yet. It's like a prototype suit. And then with the car, there's really not a lot of gadgets on the car, right? So the gadgets are kind of hidden or are not there. There's like basically it's like a really fancy cool car with like a jet engine strapped to the back. And it's pretty cool, but it's really not the end all be all of like Batmobiles or anything like that. Like I wouldn't consider this like, great, but this is prototype Batman. Like he's trying to learn what to do here too. Like I said, I want to see a time jump, and now there's a bigger, badder, cooler, gadget-filled Batmobile. He's got a lot of these gadgets and stuff hidden away. His suits, he takes a full-on shotgun to the chest, which I thought was insanely unbelievable. Again, human. It really, the only reason it could have worked was if they blew part of the suit open. You could see the armor or layers of armor or something, like that's in Dark Knight Returns, which I've talked about on this channel. I love so much. Anyway, so there's this constant, things that do work with things that don't work in the movie. And again, that third act just derails so much. Catwoman, it never really happens. Selina finds out or talks about Falcone really being her dad and goes to kill him. And Batman's trying to stop her from killing him. And it was all just a ploy to get Falcone out of the building so the Riddler could kill him. And that's when the Riddler turns himself in. So you see all of this. And then, of course, you set up the big scheme with the vans and they flood the city. And, Batman goes to Arkham. He thinks the Riddler knows that he's Bruce Wayne because he keeps talking about Bruce Wayne. But he basically just says, no, Bruce Wayne's the one that got away. And this was the perfect chance to make this story mean more. Like, they could have had this Arkham scene at the end. He's frustrated his scheme didn't get played out the way they wanted. And Batman's there trying to figure out who Hush is. And he can have comments about Bruce Wayne and all this other stuff. But it doesn't work. And then, of course, there's the sneaky cameo of, another knockoff version of some sort of Joker, which is really a horrible idea considering the Heath Ledger performance, which followed Nicholson. I do not want to see a Joker, but it is what it is. So Riddler floods the city, and then you have these weird twists of the movie losing its brain. So Selina has one comment about like white privilege and the wealthy. But the Riddler, after he gets Falcone, there's this, and they find all this stuff in the Riddler's house. They see this streaming thing, and Riddler, it's basically like a jab at like toxic fans and YouTubers or whatever. He has like 500 fans, and he doesn't talk like the Riddler. He just talks like himself, and they love him so much. He's convinced them to go to this sporting venue, which is where everyone's basically evacuating to because it's the only safe place in the city that's flooding. And all these guys basically dress up like Riddler and have firearms to just shoot and kill people. So the new mayor, because the other mayor had gotten murdered, she wins, and she's basically like female Obama. Like literally, that's part of her slogan running for office. She also lectures Bruce Wayne briefly about not being charitable or spending his money in a way to benefit the city, which I think is what sets up the next movie. I mean, I want to see Bruce do some of that. That's all fine. And basically, it derails itself where Batman exposes himself in a way that everyone sees him, and he's struggling to take down some of the guys. And when he takes down one of the guys, the guy basically says, "I'm vengeance," which is what Batman's mantra has been through the whole film, even the cool parts. So now Bruce is somehow conflicted with what Batman's purpose is, where he has to be more than just taking down bad guys, I guess. It's like he suddenly becomes like a different superhero. Like suddenly it's about just saving these people, like quite literally. Like even in the daylight, there's a shot of him covered in dirt, and there's like a rescue thing, and there's a cool shot with him holding a flare, I guess. But all of this, to be honest, was really almost cheap to me, because Batman would have a plan, he would have gadgets, he would have some sort of mechanisms to try to make things better for the people that are going through this. It wouldn't just be like a hurricane victim firefighter role. It was really very weak. And then they sneak in like this random thing where he's hurt, he can't get up, and he uses like this green vial that he has in his, I guess, utility belt, and jabs himself. So we're supposed to think this is Venom, which is this famous Batman storyline in the comic books that led to Bane and all this, but it's not addressed. He just basically like an adrenaline rush and just pummels this guy, and then that's it. We just move on. I don't know. The third act derails such positives of the film. The look of Gotham, the realism that they were trying to go for, the musical score is phenomenal. And some of the music and the way the editing works with that is fine. It's just the camera choices of making everything so slow and methodical. It just got to be too much. Like I said, at least 20 to 30 minutes should have been cut out of this film. I really loved most of the Penguin stuff. I really liked the chase scene more than I thought I would, especially because so much of it is spoiled in the trailers. But overall, I'm going to stick to about a 6 to a 7. I'm going to fluctuate. Probably watch it again. It'll be on streaming here shortly, and I'll watch it probably 2 or 3 times and kind of really maybe give you guys another feedback, or we'll do something with Rob. We were supposed to do a stream last night, and Rob wasn't able to, so that's what happened with that. We were going to talk about Batman. We're going to talk about Batman too. We're going to talk like rank the Batman, rank the movies, and that kind of thing. So I'll wait for him to give you my thoughts on all that, because that was definitely a part of my prep for this. All right, so that's it. Anyway, if you want to leave your comments, tell me what you thought of Batman. Maybe you liked the Batman. What do you think? I would not rank this. It doesn't really touch the trilogy movies, the Nolan trilogy. It doesn't really touch Batman 89. So it's not in the top 4 or 5. So, there's that. Let me shift gears and talk about another movie that I got through. Well, no, I didn't get through. The whole point is this is called the 355. Okay. So I got this. This popped up on one of my streaming services for free, so I started watching it. And here's a short version. In Colombia, someone has come up against. Spoilers are running, folks. You don't want to know. You should be watching. Not going to make separate videos on all this nonsense. Okay? Just not doing it. 355. In Colombia, someone has created a device that basically lets you hack anything electronic. They even talk about like crypto and stuff. So in the scene, basically someone starts crashing an airplane and takes down the entire electrical grid of Bogota. And then the guy that's there to buy it basically tries to betray them because he is a criminal cartel person, basically, and kills them. But then equivalent of Colombian federal agents is monitoring this, and they go in for the bus. Major shootout. One of those agents ends up grabbing this basically like external hard drive looking device. And that's how that ends. And then you fast forward to our CIA. I guess she's CIA. Hang on, I want to make sure I get that right. It's Jessica Chastain's character. She and Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, are going to go undercover with this person and buy it, and that goes sideways. So you have this series of introduction of different characters because the Sebastian Stan character, yeah. So CIA, she's CIA. She's meeting these other ladies along the way, right? So they're in the town. It goes sideways. This lady's involved. She's over here on the end, right? She is French, I think, is what they're going for with her. Diane Krieger is Foreign Intelligence Services in Germany. So German. Okay, so she's German. Diane Kruger, obviously, she would have been German. So that's the German. And then there's this setup where the story moves. The agent still got this thing. Sebastian Stan's character dies. So now they sent the Colombians send Penelope Cruz's character in, but she's like not an agent, and she comes alone. She's basically like a shrink, and she convinces him to just walk around with this thing with like a couple bodyguards, and then she's going in for the kill. She's there to help track this thing, and she goes to this lady, which is Lupita. I don't know how to say her last name. Nyong'o. She's a really pretty lady that was Black Panther's girlfriend. She's MI6 tech genius, or former MI6 tech genius. Boy, that sounds terrible when I said that too fast. So you have all this cat and mouse nonsense, and I got to be honest, I stopped probably twice by this point to figure out like why do I care? Like there's no real, they never show this thing doing anything. Again, you're supposed to just kind of like these, and again, the plane crashing is like kind of in the background of one scene. You don't see anything about the power outage. Nothing is mentioned. There's no mass media references or anything like that. You just know the agents are all freaking out about this thing existing. So cat and mouse nonsense. Jessica Chastain looks like she's either bored / angry the whole time. Penelope Cruz is trying to play up like she's so timid and scared the whole time. Diane Kruger's character is mean and nasty. Not cool and not like skilled, just mean and nasty. Running around in little pantsuits and jumping off cranes and shooting at boats. And long story short, to where I'm at, I'm 45 minutes in. They've lost the thing. They're forced to work together. They've tracked it to, I think, Morocco, and now it's changed hands again. More cat and mouse stuff. You have to follow so-and-so. You have to do that. I just don't care. I literally just don't give a rat's behind about pretty much anything at this point. I'm like, I was so bored. I didn't even know Fan Bingbing is even in this movie. I haven't gotten that far. She hasn't even shown up yet. I'm not even that far. So she's a Chinese agent, and I haven't got that far. So I don't know. I wish I could recommend anything. I can't even get through a movie. It's free. It's that bad. It's just boring. I don't care. The problem too is I'm trying to think. I mean, Lupita's character is at least likable. She's at least acting. She's pretty. No one else is. None of the other characters are really likable. They're not presented in a pretty way. They're not presented in intelligent, skilled enough, interesting. They're not bringing anything to the table. I know they're going for like female spy stuff. There's no gadgets. It's all just realism stuff. There's no cool, innovative, interesting way of catching someone or shooting at someone or doing something. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Movies, okay. Total dog crap at this point. I don't know. I'm not even sure I can give it 2 stars. I'm just going to let it go. It's just dog crap. I don't know what they're thinking. Female spy nonsense. Ocean's 8, wasn't that one they tried to do this? I never watched it. They were trying to do it. I couldn't get into it. This is another example of me not being able to get into it. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with it. I want to. I want to have movies I like. What do we go to now? I don't think I even got a picture for Scream. Let's do Scream, because Scream. Scream 5. But they're lazy. They just call it Scream. We're going to do that nonsense again, which is funny because they kind of make that up as like, okay. So here's the thing about the new Scream. It's almost like it's so meta. Okay, so let me explain meta. It is okay, Scream has always done an interesting job of like talking about itself like over and over again. Like it's this interesting way of it's like, so the first movie is really, we're gonna talk about movies as though we're not in a movie, giving you the rules while we're in a movie, right? And the sequel go, oh well, there's sequels, so the sequels has to be a little bit different. This is what's gonna happen, right? So you get a little bit of this kind of stuff, and that's how it goes along, right? So there's Scream 3, Scream 4. 4 brings in like social media and stuff. So some of that was all right. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know that I liked it, didn't hate it. It's like, okay. Scream 5 basically like tells you some of the crazy bad ideas that they're going to come up with. They call it a requel, which is like a reboot / sequel where you bring in like legacy characters and then you create new characters. So the premise of Scream is these kids are, literally the phone call rings. She might as well have had popcorn. She's on the cell phone, landline. I don't know why she had the landline, but she does. I have a I don't have a landline anymore. I had a landline up until we moved. So it reenacts the opening, Scream movie stuff. Do you want to play a game? Movie trivia. She gets the question wrong, which was so obvious because in the Scream universe, the fake movie is called Stab. So all the conversations about Stab are really about Scream, and it's not terrible. It was okay. I'm like along for the ride. Okay. Hang on. I have to text the first lady here that I need to call her later because we're almost at our time. We had a scheduled call. I'm going to stream for a while. They set up 2 basically new Sidney Prescotts. One person gets killed, another's attacked. They call that person's sister, like, hey, your sister was attacked and you come back to town. And then suddenly everyone is revealed about who everybody is. And reality is a new killer's come back attacking people that are connected to the other characters. So it's been 25 years since the original Scream, the original Stab movies, those kind of things, right? The killing spree in Woodsboro. So it's revealed that the 2 new, basically Sidney Prescott, the 2 girls, are Billy Loomis's. Oh, sorry. The one girl's Billy Loomis's kid. The other one's not. So the Billy Loomis kid has a daughter named Samantha, but she goes by Sam Loomis. Little on the nose, by the way, for your Halloween references. And I think the other girl's named Tara, and her last name's Carpenter. Again, John Carpenter, way too on the nose. They must think they're clever. I always feel like that scene in the new Matrix where they're like, ha ha ha, aren't we smart? Look at what we can do. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt with this movie at times. That's for sure. All right, so that's how it progresses. Is everyone that's being attacked is connected? Like, so the sheriff had Dewey married Gail. She moved to New York with her big news job or whatever she does, and he doesn't like it. He can't stand it. He hated life, and he's an alcoholic. Kind of screwed up his sheriff gig, and now they hired Deputy Hicks to be the sheriff. And then Hicks, they get attacked, and the son gets killed, and all that kind of stuff's happening. So everything is connected. And you have a room full of all these kids. Oh man, what's going on with my microphone? There we go. That's weird. One of you is a suspect, right? The twins. Who are the twins related to? Hang on. Make sure I look at the notes here. Let's see. Oh, okay. So the twins' mom is Randy's sister. So Randy is the uber nerd in the original Scream that knew all of the horror movie rules. So the twins are half black or Spanish. What are they? Are they supposed to be? Well, they're definitely a POC. So I don't know what their ethnicity is, and it doesn't matter. So you're in this room, and they're all there. One of you's the killer. Who to trust? They get Dewey to help. Of course, he's trying to reach out to Gail. Reaches out to Sydney. So you have the you have legacy characters coming into play. You have them coming together. They do a rescue scene in the hospital, and again, I'm not hating this movie at this point. I'm just going along with the ride. And Dewey just becomes stupid. Like in the middle of this, and how many movies there's been, suddenly Dewey's going to go in and save the girl. He has the gun. I got to shoot him in the head because they always come back. True. Oh, I won't shoot him from the head from far away. We're going to get really, really close. He goes back completely alone. And of course, it goes south, goes sideways. Dewey dies. So the girl, this poor Tara girl, she gets attacked like 6 times. She's stabbed like 1,000,000 times, and she's somehow always able to escape and whatever. And at the end, there's a fight scene where she's actually able to fight. It's just so stupid. So the one friend that's explaining the rules, she is part of this as well, and lives in the Stu's house where the final killing spree happens at Stu Macher's house in the first movie. So Mindy lives there now with Chad. That's the brothers of the brother and sister twins of Meek's Randy's sister. Whew. God, they made it convoluted. It's really not that hard to follow, to be honest. I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. Anyway, so we go along and we follow them, and then out of the blue, they say, Sam's like, Sam has a boyfriend with her, which is he's actually not bad. I actually liked him. I think he's Dennis Quaid's kid, right? Dennis and Meg Ryan's kid. I'm not sure. Maybe I got that kid mixed up with someone else, but I think so. Let me see if that's the right kid. Yeah, definitely. We're just leaving town. Forget this. We're not doing this nonsense. Oh, well, they have to have a stupid contrived thing, and Tara doesn't have her inhaler. So they got to get one. Well, they don't want to drive home. They don't want us to go by the hospital. They want to do it. So they're going to go to the friend's house. They got killed. She has an inhaler there. And then that goes sideways, and they end up going to where this Stu Macher's house is. That's where everybody ends up. So totally sets up, let's play out the Scream finale all over again with new killers that haven't been revealed yet. People are getting attacked. Now, despite what you've seen in the footage, this movie is the perfect example of the new hidden woke. This is the new hidden woke. Like the concepts go like this, right? We can show the girls being super tough and get into some fights, but they're still going to come out on top. You can't kill off, and you can't make the villain the POCs. Okay, these are some of the rules, right? And the one girl's gay, so we definitely can't kill her off, right? So go back to that scene where they're all standing around, and you have these characters, like, who's the villain going to be? Okay? So you just sort of kind of run down the list of which ones it can and can't be. And you're like, okay, well, the black guy, Chad, gets attacked. He's not going to die, though. So at the end, there's an ambulance scene. He's not dead. Twin, not dead. It's like, okay. People are getting stabbed. I think he got stabbed in the femoral artery, man. He's bleeding out everywhere. Passes out. There's a shot of him literally being dizzy. He's in the ambulance later. Been a while, by the way. So anyway, the film follows all those rules. Has to be white people that are the villain. And then it has one of the most bizarre twists of what the motivation of the killers are I've seen in a film in a long time. And it's so strange. And I first want to point out, like, the conspiracy theory weird. So the first conspiracy theory weird is the new Stab movie is Stab 8, the 8th film in the franchise, directed by the guy that did that Star Wars movie, or no, Knives Out movie, which is Rian Johnson, who did the 8th Star Wars movie, Last Jedi. And this film has created a toxic fandom that are outraged at how bad the franchise is treating the characters. Sounds like Last Jedi's outrage, right? So the killers turn out to be the boyfriend and the nerdy friend, the friend Amanda at the house, the white girl. And they just love one another. They connected through a Reddit, I think a Reddit chat room or a Discord about their hatred of Stab 8 and all this outrage. They got motivated, and their theory was if they could create their murders again with the legacy characters, a requel, that would ultimately make a new movie. There would just be Stab again. Sounds like Scream 5, which is not called Scream 5, just they want it to be called Scream. Like literally, this is like the weird meta circular thing that they're going for. And I'm like, okay, hold on a minute. So you you refuse to kill the Black twins. The two new Sidney Prescotts, even the one that's been stabbed like 27 times, was attacked in a wheelchair. She not only survived, she helps beat up one of them. You got them falling downstairs. And then they have Gail and Sydney. They survive. They kill killers. They survive again to fight another day. This movie was so strange. And such a weird cloak and dagger approach to the woke ideology. I just hope you can start seeing this now when you see these movies. Like Hollywood is obsessed with like the white people have to be the villain. We have to protect the POCs. But we don't want to see the women get beat up too much. So it's usually an evil white man or a Russian man, right? So like the film Nobody. Gotta have Russian people. For no reason. I don't know why. No other criminals, I guess. But so Scream, it's not the worst film in the world. I'm not sure it's a good Scream movie. It felt so oddly not like a film. Like it seemed like it kept breaking their own rules and this weird thing. Like, and it's weird. The way they were handling the rules was different than others. Like there's a scene where Chad doesn't want to sleep with like the slutty cheerleader. But he does it not because that's the rules. Like he should say, oh, well, no, we shouldn't have sex. There's a killer on the loose. Don't you know the rules? Like that really seemed like the Scream line to throw out there. Instead, it was like, well, no, you might be the killer. Like what? Like that no one has that kind of approach in these movies. It's kind of like this tongue in cheek, everyone could be the killer. But we have all these rules that are based on pop culture and movies. Like it's such a weird thing to throw this in the middle for no reason. I don't know. Totally did not like any of that. So if I had to rank it, low level ranking, probably 4.5, 4. It's pretty low on the poll for me. The ending was this weird, twisting, toxic fandom. We're going to kill people, so they'll make a movie about it, and that will set things right because we like fandoms. The fandom deserves it. It was just like, okay, no. I mean, if I don't know, it's just such a strange premise that's sort of rooted in this weird Rian Johnson Stab 8 references, Last Jedi stuff that happens in the real world. It was almost like it just took me out of all of it. And maybe I'm being a little oversensitive about all that because I've grown to hate not only Last Jedi, but also the whole Star Wars franchise so much because of all of that. Like they just have derailed everything about what was good. And it's like, that's the metaphor they're going for with Scream, the Stab movies. I don't know. So can't recommend it. Again, I would love to have more feedback on that. If you liked or hated this movie, so I'd have a better perspective. And I may just watch it again. I may watch them all again. I don't know. I don't really be a fan of sitting through the horror movies anymore. Sort of like just gets kind of old, kind of contrived. So let me pull up some things that I did like this week, which is a weird thing to recommend or kind of recommend because it was like, I don't know. It's just a weird, I don't know. I was shocked that I would. First of all, I'm not sure I should have watched it. I feel a little. All right, let me see if I can just open it as a tab and go from there. So, Winning Time. So, Winning Time is the almost like HBO's answer to The Last Dance. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. So, HBO's answer to Last Dance is to have this show about the Lakers and the rise of Showtime. And I will say, I stumbled across it and I watched it. It is not family friendly. This show is full of profanity and all sorts of shenanigans. But I have to give them credit because this is the backstory to the Lakers that no one wanted to talk about. Like, this is the stuff that actually happened, right? Athletes have come forward. I mean, I heard someone talking about they didn't even care if they won when they won at Los Angeles because they all cared about was the party after. And I was like, whoa. The show starts where, Irvin is testing positive for HIV, and the guy driving home starts crying. And all of this was very strange to just drop in. And then we're going to flash back to Irvin versus, Magic versus Bird, national championship 1979, draft. Bird's going to the Celtics for this massive amount of money. The Lakers have this first pick. There's a coin toss scene. They're going to take Magic, but they don't want to take. Not everybody wants to take because Jerry West is a complete a-hole, to be honest. So you see John C. Reilly in the photo because he is Jerry Buss buying the team, and he's basically almost like a Trumpian. I don't even know how much is true or not true in the Jerry Buss story, but it's almost like a Trumpian version of a real life sort of entrepreneur. He's going to trade real estate and some cash. He's finagling people with cash and getting a loan and all these different things. And very strange. Now that's Jason Clarke on the right, who plays Jerry West. And Jason Clarke, man, the first thing you have to remember is this dude is Australian. So he is freaking amazing in all of these movies that he does. I'm just so impressed with his body of work. He's just done some great stuff. That's all there is to it. I just think he's just done an incredible job, and his immersion with Jerry West is fantastic. So yeah, the first episode was out. I really liked it, but more than just that, they also had an actual documentary, not this, of Magic versus Bird documentary. Let's see if we can get image pulled up so you can see. A Courtship of Rivals is what it's called. And let me see if I can get this image pulled up for you. Yeah, it looks something like this. Yeah, let me pull this up. So basically, it's Bird versus Magic stuff. And I liked it a lot. Man, it was good. It took me back, man. Took me back. I was very, very pleased with this. This actually made me very happy. I hadn't really obviously spent any time thinking about Magic and Bird lately, but it made me want to. It made me watch some videos on YouTube and take me back to some fun memories, because this was like literally my nexus, man. I mean, I literally remember. I don't remember the draft. I remember the championship game. I mean, obviously my family's from Indiana. We moved in 1979, but obviously they were obsessed with Larry Bird, Indiana State, going to the NCAA championship, losing, but had such great respect for both these players. They start in the NBA. So now I'm like, and this is like an era, our family was kind of moving around doing some stuff in 1979, and they would entertain me by buying me basketball cards, sports cards. When we got to Florida, they had football, but at the time it was basketball cards. I remember being in Texas, and I remember just getting basketball cards, having them on the floor. I mean, literally having those cards. I had the famous cards, the 3 cards, and I remember they were perforated. I took them apart. Like I was that kid, 8 years old, because didn't turn 9 till the summer. 8, 9 years old. Bird Magic is just literally like a flag in tent pole in my life and childhood. So this just took me back. I remember Game 6 of the finals, the injury to Kareem. Magic comes in, basically starts at center, plays all 5 positions, scores 42 points. Magic's now a superstar. Bird's a superstar. The NBA is just different. Like, it's just hooked. I was hooked. Man, it was so good. And this documentary is great. The show, not for the meek, not for everybody. Definitely not PG. It's HBO. It is all of its raunchiness. Oops, sorry. But I got to give props for props is due. It's pretty good too. I mean, you got some good acting going on. I like the fact that they were portraying Irvin's dad the way they did. He's probably the most likable, best character that you like. Dad's this work hard guy, going through the knocks, man. Going, I'm picking up trash, working for the city. I'm doing this job, doing that job, trying to give you a life, and you're trying to, bleed these guys dry to get more money out of it. Because Irvin just kind of walks away from the deal, wants more money, ultimately gets a little more money. And of course, once he's really Magic, obviously he got a lot of money later. But anxious to see where that show goes. But definitely highly recommend the Magic Bird documentary, Courtship of Rivals. So let me put a pin in that, because I definitely thought these were all real fun, nostalgic, taking me back to my childhood, love of the NBA. Love why I just can't stand the NBA now. Like, I cannot do it. Real, and got to be honest, part of me doesn't understand how people do it. Like, I really don't get how people watch this. The documentary kind of touches on that too, because it talks about the 70s, where the players were all in it for themselves, showboating, shooting their own points. All they care about their points, their box score. It was all like Showtime stuff, but there was like cigarette smokers, there's drug use. They're dealing with there's a lot of blaming of the racism at the time. Now, I don't remember too much of that. It definitely wasn't a conversation in my house. No one, and actually, to be honest, they praised all these players. It wasn't like my family, so I didn't grow up around any of that. Like, there was such a respect and love of the black athletes too. I mean, all I heard about Wilt Chamberlain my whole life. Like, no one ever stopped talking about Wilt scored 100 points, and the amazing Wilt versus Bill Russell. They loved all this famous Indiana Pacer ABA team. So it's like, I had to hear about George McGinnis till my brain would hurt. Danny Roundfield, I believe, Artis Gilmore, the Colonels of Kentucky. Just had to hear of all that. And of course, Dr. J. Dr. J comes out of the ABA, goes to the pros. He's playing for the Sixers. He's a phenomenal athlete. I mean, gosh, Dr. J was early Michael Jordan, LeBron. Like, he was so amazing. The game was just different for them. Like, it was just a different game. So he wasn't going to put up 30 points. He played on teams that had other players that did well. They made it to the championship game that year, 1979, 80, lost to the Lakers. So, yeah, it was. I grew up with that. I didn't grow up with the racism part, but that was brought up in this documentary, and it was interesting that they bring up all this showboating stuff. Yet that's the modern NBA to me. I don't see players that want to play team ball much. I don't see team. That's what I want to see. I want to see a team that's not going to let the other teams shoot 3-pointers like that. Figure out a way to win. Tough, grinding. Even like the Pistons defense would be fun to see a team come back, and next thing you know, the Warriors can't score more than 90 on them. That'd be what I'd love to see. That'd be great. That would be something that'd be interesting. But I will say this about the modern NBA: there are a handful of players like Trae Young and Ja Morant, Jason Tatum. Those are the 3 I can think of off the top of my head that kind of make me think, might want to watch some of this. Maybe. All right. What else? Anyway, your comments are always welcome. If you enjoying anything on any of the videos, you like, share, subscribe, sure appreciate it. So I want to just throw a kudos out to what would really probably be to most of you surprise, and not for the meek, for sure. New episode. I can't get the image I want. So South Park might be the only group that still fighting the culture war properly. Like, it is so strange to me that I say that out loud. Like, I was just so shocked at these. So I watched, it's free on the service, and I was like, all right, well, what's on here? And then I see they had these COVID episodes. And I was like, oh, those are, and they were really funny. They were really funny. One of them was incredibly inappropriate. So this is what it looks like. This little spot right here. I'm not going to get into it too much. I don't even know. This is episode 5. That's not really the episode I want to talk about, but I was so pleasantly surprised. They did these episodes and they were going after everyone. And they do it in such a brilliant, smart way. So the one episode is about their teacher, and he's sharing his life and his gay relationships. And then he has, the estranged person calls him and he puts them on the speakerphone. The kids don't respond to anything. They have no idea what's going on. And he starts yelling at them. So when the principal runs by, he says, oh, no, you guys are all losing your privileges. You lose pajama day, right? So you have this teacher. You have the topic of teachers talking inappropriate to kids. Obviously, here in Florida, this is like a political nonsense. It's turned political here in Florida, and it's being misrepresented in the media. It's something that it's not. Then it turns into pajama day. Now, pajama day turns out to be a metaphor for wearing masks. Like, it's so strange that it was handled this way, but it was also brilliant. Like, once you have the scene where they're in their pajamas and then the one guy's not in his pajamas, he's trying to go in a restaurant, and they're like, no, sir, you have to wear your pajamas. You at least have to wear your pajamas to walk to the table. Then you can take your pajamas off. And the police show up. And then there's a scene where they're going to arrest him, and there's another person who doesn't want to wear their pajamas in their house with their wife. You can't tell me when to wear pajamas. They start arresting people, and it was just crazy. And then and the show goes on. So they're dealing with mass stuff. They're dealing with the craziness, people getting out of hand. They're dealing with the hypocrisy of things. And their solution was to make it opposite day. Just do the opposite. So now no one knows what to do, which is, again, brilliant. And that's kind of how that episode goes. And then there's the next episode basically deals with racism. And the premise of that is that Tolkien's name is not really Tolkien. It's Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings creator. And the joke is, well, you don't think a black family would name their kid Tolkien, do you? And Randy, the pot grower, dad of Stan, has gone to this pot meeting where they're told if you don't have like a black co-owner, your business won't survive. So now he's trying to befriend Tolkien's dad, because he's this Lord of the Rings fanatic. That's why he named the kid that. It's his black owner in his business, so because he thinks that's how he'll survive. So, I'm telling you what, these people were going after the culture war so hard. The other episode, I think, dealt with the migration of people from the city to the rural area. And you have Cartman pretend to be a real estate agent, jacking up the prices. They try to sell people's houses for like $30 million. And they have like the guy in the New York car. They don't speak sentences. They just say things like Pilates, Starbucks. It was just like, the mockery is insane. And then, of course, their solution is that the people want these people gone. So the solution is to murder the real estate agents. It was just like, they go after every craziness in our society and culture. I have to give them, like, let me do a little image for them. 2 thumbs way up for at least taking on the culture war. I had not watched this. I given up on these people long ago. These episodes were really, really good. So that was pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and end it about here. I'll wait. Maybe Rob can do next week, or we'll get on another show or do something. I'd like to be able to break down this Obi-Wan trailer and really get into it. So maybe I'll do another video with that. There's other news, read some comic books, those kinds of things. So, but anyway, folks, that's the full stream, and we'll cut the clips and have some fun with it. Hope you're enjoying it. Like, share, subscribe if you feel like you've enjoyed any of this. I appreciate you watching if you've watched this far. So I'm Pops. Hope you had a good night.